Thank you to all our panelists who are willing to join us today, which is very generous with your time. Let's see, okay. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jen Torgerson. I'm a sales counselor here at RiverWoods Manchester. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We have a nice group of people here and a wonderful group of residents that are here to speak with you today. Just a few reminders before we get started. Those attending are on mute, but we do welcome your questions. So you can type any questions into the Q&A box, either at the bottom or the top of your screen, depending on how you're joining us today. We do appreciate your suggestions, and certainly if you have an idea for a fun topic, let us know. We will consider doing that. Our founders were Mariana Hatch and Rosemary Coffin, and these this was like a grassroots organization that created RiverWoods from the early days. These ladies sat around a kitchen table and met and raised funds to start the first RiverWoods Exeter campus, which opened in about '93. And they were really instrumental in creating a community that would bring peace of mind and a successful aging process to those who lived there. And that has just blossomed over time into the communities that we have today. RiverWoods Exeter, so the top campus is the Woods campus, and then the Ridge was built several years after that. And after that, we built the Boulders, which filled up in about 2010. In 2016, we became RiverWoods Manchester, which was Birch Hill Terrace before that. So that was an affiliation. And the years that followed included a well over $30 million renovation of the campus inside and out. And more recently, 18 new cottages. But RiverWoods Manchester has taken that over for the last several years, since 2016, really, and brought it to where it is today. And RiverWoods Durham was new construction that opened around 2018, 2019. All New Hampshire based. RiverWoods today. So in 2016, we created the RiverWoods Group, acting as the parent company really over all the three different campuses. There are two boards. There's a CCRC board, the governing body for the existing communities. We have a systems CEO that has been with RiverWoods since the first campus opened. So she's been here 30 years, Justine Fogel, and she works with the system board as well, which focuses on mission and future growth. All the campuses pay a fee to the RiverWoods Group for services and support. We consolidated what used to be separate offices for finance, IT, human resources, marketing, and quality, and they really work under the RiverWoods Group now and serve all the campuses, and we pay a fee for that for these services. The funds, the RiverWoods Group funds the at-risk portion of projects similar to our new cottages and new ventures. And the communities are each financially independent from each other, and each has an annual opportunity to provide additional funding for potential new ventures. So what is a CCRC? It's a continuing care retirement community. RiverWoods CCRCs are an insurance product. Not all are, but ours are a not-for-profit insurance product overseen by the Department of Insurance in the state of New Hampshire. And essentially, you're prepaying and insuring for future potential assisted living, memory support, or nursing needs. Nursing we now call enhanced assisted living. But you're prepaying for future care when you join a CCRC. A portion of the entrance fee, the first person entrance fee and monthly fees are tax deductible. Residents receive a letter annually stating what the potential deductions are for the prior year based on an outside auditor. And our contracts, again, are regulated by the state of operation, so the Department of Insurance here in New Hampshire for RiverWoods. And our financial performance, again, being audited annually and reported to the state. A CCRC is also a lifestyle choice. You're moving into independent living when you come to a CCRC. You allow the cleaning and cooking and so many things up to the staff, and that enables you to have fun, do the fun things in life, and many of our residents today will tell you about those, some of the things they've become active in. Pre-scheduled transportation is included, numerous activities, fitness programs, 6 days a week, educational sessions, classes, art class, concerts, lectures, you name it, are included in the monthly fees, and utilities as well. And a CCRC really increases your ability to socialize over time. You're a little more engaged than you may have been at home, aging at home, more active. There's more going on. So as life gets smaller at home, people move in here and life actually starts to get bigger and more active. And that seems to keep people healthier longer. But a CCRC mostly allows you to stay in control of your life. You always know where you will receive care, what the quality of that care will be, where you'll be. There will always be a care transition team looking out for you here. So it allows you to stay in control in the future. Today's panelists, we are very grateful to have with us here. These are all folks I moved in to, some of you 2 years ago, and some of you less than a year ago. So Kate Riley and Scott Prentice have been here for about 2 years, moved in from Concord, New Hampshire. Julie Kosh came from Skowhegan, Maine, and I believe also moved in 2022. Is that right, Julie?
Yes.
Yes. And Sam Mitchell-Sam and his lovely wife, Pat, moved in from Fogelsville, Pennsylvania about 8-10 months ago, something like that, Sam. And moved into a cottage, one of our new cottages, actually. So welcome all of you, and thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. We know you're all busy doing things and having fun. And we will go ahead, Kim, and I think move on to the next slide. Oh, sorry, no, we won't. Kate and Scott, I'm going to actually have you start the program and talk a little bit about what brought you here and the kinds of things you do here. And thank you again for joining us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Happy to speak to everybody. We moved in about 2.5 years ago, and the decision was made that we really needed to have more of a community around us, as Jen had mentioned. We had become very socially isolated, and COVID really just exacerbated that. So we knew that a CCRC was the route that we wanted to go. And in particular, we're second generation RiverWoods residents. Scott's mom was in RiverWoods Exeter for 11 years. And we saw the care, the community, and the transition that happened for her. So RiverWoods was certainly a choice for us. And community has been really at the core of what we wanted to do. And it certainly has, as Jen said, opened up our world more. And we can be as active as we choose to or not. And I choose to be active in some of the community activities. I participate with the tavern. The tavern is there for socialization, and it also is an opportunity for us to, as a group, to be able to contribute to charitable causes, like our Employee Appreciation Fund, the Employee Scholarship Fund, and our Benevolent Fund. So it gives us an opportunity to participate in that way. I participate with gardening as well. I have a little plot outside, which is really nice in the summertime for some herbs, and just keeping busy and active with that. And the opportunities not only for learning, but interacting with people from outside the community has been really helpful too. And you've participated with the community as well.
Yeah, I've rekindled my interest in bridge, which I haven't played since college. So that was a bit of a rude awakening, getting used to that again. I wish I could play more right now, but that's a different issue that I'm facing at the moment. Um, I've uh, I've been lucky enough to have access to the hydrotherapy pool here, and got some very important physical therapy in there, and then also in the fitness center. That was a big help for me. I have hip, a hip that's giving me a hard time. That may sound familiar to some of you, and maybe not. I hope not. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but nevertheless, it's been those facilities have been very helpful to me. Um, I'm still very active in a couple of outside activities, and one of those is an investment club, which is there's about 10 of us now, from my previous work location, with a few new members on, not nearly enough new members, but that's a we meet by Zoom these days since we're kind of scattered, and especially since COVID. We met that way through COVID, for the duration. And instead of going to a restaurant, we're meeting online,
Like we are today.
like we are Zoom all the time. I've been moderating most of those meetings, and I happen to have the Zoom subscription, so I set them up. But I'm the keeper of the portfolio in general, so that's still a very something I'm very actively involved in outside. And there's another group of us from work, what used to be my work, and we meet about once a month at a local restaurant now that things have opened up again after COVID, and that's fun to see those folks too, face to face.
That's cool.
And the other big activity around here, when the tavern's not open, which is Tuesdays and Fridays is tavern. When the tavern is not open, there's an informal gathering called happy hour. It usually takes place in what we call the living room, or the nook, depending on how long you've been here. And lately, with the warm weather, we've been meeting out on the patio, which is even better. I think that we may have come to the end of that for this season at least. So we'll be back inside every afternoon at 4 o'clock.
There you
Come
go.
join us.
Come, yes. And there are a few requirements. Bring yourself, and whatever you would like to drink. And that we have one regular member who refers to his cup of water as a Kentini. So that's some of the things.
That's great. So it's BYOB, but you don't have to bring the B, right?
Ah,
No,
It doesn't have to
no.
be alcoholic, and same with the tavern.
Whatever you want. Same with the
Right.
tavern. Yeah.
Yeah, and residents bartend in the tavern. You give bartending lessons.
Yep.
Same like
Yep.
Sam's a new bartender, right? Julie, I think Julie's probably been active as well. And residents take orders, and someone sells tickets at the door, and it's $2 for alcoholic and $1 for non-alcoholic. It's a lot of fun. Everybody has a great time. Sometimes it's 80 people spilling over into the lobby and the back of the side dining room, and
Right.
and then there's some people that don't go at all. So it's, it's all up to the individuals, but
Whatever you want to do.
have a lot of fun. It
Yep.
celebrates birthdays and anniversaries in there too.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, thank you both so much. And I'm going to leave it to Julie then. Julie.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I just wanted to let you know that I already had a little bit of information about CCRCs because both my mom and dad were in a CCRC in Oregon. So I had visited them. I had a little little bit of information about what they were, but I did also a lot of research. The biggest reason that I came to RiverWoods Manchester is I was looking kind of for a safe and secure life with people around me. Unfortunately, I was a very young widow. I lost my husband of 31 years when I was 55, and we had no children. So I was thinking, okay, well, this major event happened in my life. What do I do now? I don't have any family around me that would be able to look after me if I had a health issue or I needed help on the farm. So I decided after a period of time that I really would love to live in a place like RiverWoods Manchester. And I never regretted it 1 minute at all. I do a variety of different things like Scott and Kate. I'm a little bit involved in the tavern, but more on the backside of things. If I'm going to have a glass of wine, I usually do it, sitting on my balcony in the sun. But I am involved in the tavern committee. There's also a scholarship committee where residents voluntarily raise funds. And once a year, the employees of RiverWoods Manchester are invited to submit an application for some kind of higher education or maybe a certification program, just something to make them more valuable employees. And the residents really appreciate their work. And so we raise funds to do that. We review the applications and decide which ones are worthy. And I think that's a really worthwhile thing. I'm also on the trip advisory group, and Sam can talk a little bit about that because we're both on that. It is an advisory group only. We don't make the final decisions. That rests in the hands of the community life staff, but they really value our input. They want to know, what do we want to do? It's not what they think we want to do. So we have provided a lot of input, and actually participation in the RiverWoods trips has increased. And I think that's probably, due to the fact that we have a resident advisory committee. So I do that. I also, just like Kate, I have a raised bed gardening plot. Coming from the farm where I was really used to raising a lot of my own food, just having a little gardening plot seems to satisfy my green thumb and my, need to participate still in agriculture. I also have done work with the brand new Environmental Sustainability Committee on campus, and that is looking to increase and improve the sustainability of our communities, and also so we can kind of keep pace with the other communities of Exeter and Durham who already have established resident sustainability committees where, we educate residents on what can be recycled, what can't, and, just provide some input to the environmental services group in our communities. Apart from that, I also have a personal interest in cats and dogs and other companion animals, and I've been doing some pet sitting around the community just on the side. I have my own cat, and that was really important to me, to be able to move to a place where my pet was welcome, and also it made it easier for me to travel because all I have to do is get a fellow pet resident and they'll watch my cat when I'm gone. I don't have to worry about that my property is going to be vandalized or that my animal is in danger. I just turn the key, check with my fellow resident. I know everything's all set and I can go off and have a good time. That was not the case when I had the farm. So I really appreciate that. And lastly, a couple of other things that I'm involved in are non-campus related, kind of like Scott told you about his investment club. I have become active in some of the local in-person activities of the AARP group in the city of Manchester, and that has been wonderful. They've had some really fun things. They had a free apple picking day one day at a local orchard. support. And they've also had some movies. You may have seen that on the AARP website. They have movies for grown-ups, and at a local movie theater, they gave away some tickets and seniors could go and see a free movie. Upcoming next week, I signed up for a tour of the Valley Cemetery right here in the city of Manchester, and the tour is going to be given by a local historian, and I'm really looking forward to that. I think that'll be interesting as well as educational. And the very last thing that I'm involved in is we have a wonderful, very active senior center in the city of Manchester. So I joined that. They have classes, they have special events. If you go during the summer, they have a freebie vegetable giveaway for registered seniors at the senior center. So I've taken advantage of that since I don't have my own garden anymore for lots of vegetables, at least I can get some, through the senior center. So there's lots to see and do around here. The biggest problem is to pick and choose that you don't commit yourself to a lot of activities. But I love it here. I absolutely love it here. And I'm very genuine when I say that I think you will too. So please come visit us if you haven't. And if you want to schedule a tour, Jen and her team will be able to help you with that. So thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Sam, would you like to go ahead and start?
I can hardly hear you at all, Jen. Can everybody hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, okay, everybody. We're probably the newest, some of the newest members, certainly the newest on the panel, and it's been a wonderful experience. We were in Pennsylvania, Eastern Pennsylvania, in the Allentown area. And as all of us might start to think, we figure we're in the fourth quarter, if I can use the football analogy. And it was time to think about what happens after work. And about four plus years ago, I saw an article in Yankee magazine, and it was just 2 pages. One of it was what's a CCRC, and on the other page, there were a whole lot of logos of various CCRCs. And the one page explained what a CCRC was, and then there were these names, and we had some friends, we had some advisors, and one of the names that kept coming up was RiverWoods, and so we looked at RiverWoods, and we looked at the Exeter campus, and we found out about the Manchester campus, which was still Birch Woods at that point, and we came over and we met Jen. And Jen was very, very instrumental in explaining and making us understand the advantages and what a CCRC could offer. And our RiverWoods CCRC is a little bit different than some of the other ones in that it's a B. I don't know if this has been explained or if Jen wants me to go into this, but I consider it to be a pay-as-you-go kind of a thing, which allows you to come into RiverWoods as an independent liver, at a probably quite a competitive price. And then after that, as you need services, you can graduate to those additional services. I'm sure there's an uptick for all of that, but it's kind of a pay-as-you-go, which I think is important. And as you need to understand these things, Jen and the team that she's on will explain the details of all of this. It's as she said, it's an insurance contract, not a real estate contract. We've been here since February, but it took, what would you say, Jen, about 4 years for us to arrive at that particular thing. Pat and I thought the idea of a cottage would be pretty neat. You have the main building, as we call it in the cottages, the big house, with all the apartments in it. And then you have 18 cottages, or 20, I should say. And we were the first residents in the new cottages, and where we decided we didn't want to really live in an apartment. We stayed pretty great. Jen kept in touch and said, okay, Sam, we're going to build some cottages here. Would you be interested? I think I had a deposit in within 24 hours. Does that sound right, Jen?
Yes, it does.
And it took about, from that point, from the deposit, it took a year or so to get us in. And we actually moved in February. I'm very proud to say that we are the first residents of the new cottages. Everybody else, came after us. So we're like pretty cool. And it's been absolutely fabulous since we got here. I would say in the 6-8 months that we've been here, we've been busier in 1 year than we possibly were the entire time we were in, in Pennsylvania. I think that's fabulous. Why did we decide to come here? Okay, age, I think, was a major factor. Our kids are already located in New England, so the family aspect of it was there. Very important to me was New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire is a unique state. It has ocean, it has lakes, it has mountains, skiing, lakes for sailing, ocean for fishing and transportation. It's about an hour away from Boston if you want to brave the traffic to go down there. Boston has got all of the things there's just tons and tons of things to offer. And if you aren't familiar with it, leaf peeping season, which we're in right now, we're getting close to the end of it. It's just fabulous. This is probably the most beautiful state I can imagine. I went to school for 3 years here and fell in love with the state and always thought, could I ever get back? And by gosh, we were able to get back thanks to RiverWoods. Family, very close, New Hampshire. The idea of a CCRC, we're getting older now. We're in our 70s and 80s. And things like for most of us don't maybe work quite as well as they worked when we were in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, and maybe even 50s. And so there needs to be that ability to have some security and some safety. And what RiverWoods offers is as you need some of these services, there's somebody there to help you. The obvious ones are things like assisted living and nursing, or even memory care, which is very important. Right now, we're independent living and expect to do this hopefully happily for a good while. But when we need help will be there. And there is a good staff of experts that can help with all kinds of things related to the aging process. We were able to find good doctors, good dentists, good lawyers, all of that kind of thing here in the Manchester area. And we got good help and advice from the folks here as part of the staff that were able to help us do that. There's a lot that's been upgraded at Riverwood. The kitchen has recently been upgraded, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the food. If you could see me, I don't know if you can see me, but I like my groceries. And the food here is excellent. Lots and lots of different choices. Usually a meat course, a fish course, a vegetarian courses, and if you don't want any of those, things like omelets and flatbreads and salads and hamburgers and all that kind of stuff, you are definitely not going to have a problem being happy with the food. In fact, I'm a little too happy with the food, which brings me to the next service or the thing that's provided here, the gym. I have met with, we have a fitness counselor here. I've met with her. She's got me on a regimen. I'm not seeing the scale move too much, but it's only been about a month. Took me a while to get around to coming and doing it, but I'm doing it now and hopefully it's going to have some good effect. But if you're interested in that kind of thing for physicality, great gym with great staff to help with that. Probably the thing that has made me the happiest is our neighbors. Granted, the people in the cottages are all new, and so we've gotten to know them very well and already feel like we're in a community. But even before our other neighbors moved in, remember we were the first people in here, we would make it a point to go down to dinner and sit with members of the community. They are absolutely fabulous, very friendly, very warm. And I'd like to tell you that we've got some good friends already from various and sundry folks that live in the big house, and they couldn't be nicer. Julie talked a little bit about the various committees and the various things that are on offer, which I really love. I want to point out things that the TAG has gotten involved in. I, for one, and I'm sure they've done it before, but I suggested, had anybody done the brunch on the Mount Washington, which sails up in Winnipesaukee? Well, people said, I hadn't thought of that. So we put it down, and by God, one Sunday, about 10 of us went off along. I think Exeter joined us on that trip, if I'm not mistaken. And so we had a whole contingent of RiverWoods that were on the Mount Washington for a wonderful bunch and a wonderful sightseeing in the area. There's Mount Washington itself. There's skiing, fantastic skiing all throughout this area if you still want to try that. There's wonderful walks. There's the Conservancy area not too far away from from the RiverWoods campus. This is a wonderful area where it's all native woodland, and there are wonderful paths that all go through it. So if you're a walker, there's all of that kind of stuff. I mentioned to the crew earlier that some friends of ours climbed Mount Major recently. If anybody knows about that, I'd probably say don't do it, but that's just a personal experience from not being probably in the shape that I should have been in when I tried it in the first place. But wonderful, wonderful view when you get to the top. So this whole idea of New Hampshire, absolutely fabulous. Talked about the social, talked about the neighbors. I don't know if I mentioned that things that are offered in Manchester besides wonderful restaurants, they have 2 affiliated theaters. One is called the Palace, that has Broadway shows every month, pretty much. And then there's the Rex, which will bring in more contemporary type groups. Pat and I have seen tributes to, let's see, Fleetwood Mac, I think Simon and Garfunkel, 4 or 5 others. Plus, they've had a number of big bands, and they do these on Sundays or during the week. And what happens is that Riverwood will take you over in a bus, so that if you wish to have an alcoholic refreshment or two, you don't have to worry about driving home. And this is all included. I mean, you have to pay for the tickets, but the bus is free. So all of these things combine to just make life a heck of a lot easier from when I was a homeowner and had to deal with everything like mowing the grass and shoveling the walks and the garbage and the whole bit. Probably the last thing I'd want to talk about is the community itself. And the staff puts together some wonderful forums. In other words, there's a dining forum, there's a RiverWoods forum, there's the executive directors forum, and these are meetings held almost once a month where people can actually go in and talk and listen to what's going on with RiverWoods and ask questions and have a chance to give and take with the people that are taking such good care of us. Speaking of that kind of taking good care of us, I can't tell you the care with which we are taken in the dining room. The meals are absolutely fantastic. Dinner is an occasion that I look forward to. There's 2 or 3 different seatings. You can tie those in with the tavern or the happy hours, which we'd like to do. And I mentioned, I think it was mentioned that I'm one of the bartenders. I think Julie probably does that. Kate does that. Kate's actually running it. But that's a good experience. You get a chance to see people and kid back and forth. And I've actually gotten pretty good. Kate has taught me how to make a Cosmo. And, once I got the idea that you put real lime juice into it instead of Rose's lime juice, people said, well, Sam, that's actually a pretty good one. It's not too sweet anymore. So great experience that way. Probably the last thing to talk about is we are dog owners. We have a 3.5-year-old Airedale Terrier. Walking around the campus, walking through the neighborhoods, there's lots and lots of places where you can walk. There are trash receptacles and bags for dog waste everywhere. And RiverWoods also has a dog run, and it's full of tennis balls, and you can take your dog down there and throw it back and forth, and the dogs just love it. I can't think of anything else. If either Jen or Kim have any things that they'd like me to speak to specifically, I'd be happy to do it. I probably took way too much time, but I just wanted you guys to get a feel for what I've been feeling since we've been here. It was probably one of the smarter things I've done in my life, and I couldn't be happier to be here.
How do you top that? That's great. Thank you so much. And Sam and Pat were probably the only couple who were on the other side of the world when moving into their cottage. So that was kind of miraculous. But thank you all. I have a question before we get started. First, I want to talk about this online workshop we have coming up on fitness. This will be Megan, our fitness coordinator, who Sam mentioned, who is just terrific. She can help people learn how to use all the equipment, or she can be hired as a personal trainer. She runs a lot of the classes here and just super helpful person, puts on some wellness presentations with the nurse practitioner also in the wellness clinic. And so that's coming up on Thursday, November 14th at 1 o'clock. If you want to sign up, you can scan the code or you can go to our website to register. And then I want to go back to questions. So we have some questions here. Before we start on these, Kate and Scott, I just wanted to ask you, I know you ended up moving in a little sooner than you had planned. And can you just talk a little bit about that, why it happened, how you managed that?
Sure. We were looking and realizing that we were probably going to have to wait to be able to find the space that we wanted in the community that we wanted. And the day that I called you, Jen, to get on a wait list for the apartment we wanted, you said, well, surprise, we actually have something available for you. And I looked at Scott, and Scott looked at me, and he said, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we made the decision to do it, and maybe worked a little differently than some people. We basically figured out what we were going to move in to our apartment, moved in, and then took care of all the rest of it. We were able to take our time reasonably to be able to do the rest of the downsizing and to be able to share things that we had with other people rather than just throwing everything away, which I really did not want to do. And we had help through Dovetail, which is a company that helps to organize as much as you would like to be able to do that. And they were very helpful, especially with the actual physical move for us to get here. So that worked out really, really well for us. It wasn't the timing we planned, but we've learned timing in life is not always what you plan it to be.
That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certainly folks who close on their house and close here and move in the exact same day. I would say they're usually a little more stressed out than those who close here and then work on downsizing and moving.
Mm-hmm.
You do pay the monthly fees, you know, for a while before, some before moving in, but everyone does it differently. But yeah. Well, thank you. One of the first questions, thank you, Charlene. What factor helped you choose the Manchester campus as opposed to Exeter or Durham? Sam, you talked a little bit about that. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Sure. We saw the Exeter campus first, thought that was nice. There were some cottages there, but they were not available. But it looked pretty big. It looked like there were a lot of people there. It looked like it could be intimidating. And it just, in the long run, it didn't seem to satisfy what we were looking for. We looked a little bit at the new place, Durham, right? Is that what we call it, Durham? Yeah. And that was another apartment building. They don't have cottage there. I don't know if they're coming, but they didn't have cottages there. We came over to Birch Hill at that point, which became RiverWoods Manchester. And I was touched by there's a warmer feel to it. It's more intimate. You don't get this feeling of a humongous cruise ship, if I can put it that way. This is like a little bit more of kind of like an expedition ship. It's smaller. You get a chance to, I think, and this is only through having been here for a while, you get to know a lot of people. There's a lot of different people with a lot of different backgrounds. I'm sure Pat and I've only really scratched the surface, but we feel like we've got a lot of friends here already, which I think are very, very important to us. And again, Jen, this may be something that individually you can spend more time on, or somebody on the staff can, but I still think the difference between, and I'm talking cost here now, ladies and gentlemen, the cost for us to be here at RiverWoods as independent livers in a cottage is a better price structure, I believe, and Jen, jump on me if I get this wrong, is a better price structure than what you would feel in the other two locations, because it's as I called it earlier, a pay-as-you-go. As we might need some assisted living, as we might need some nursing care, as we might need some what's that word? Yeah. As we might need that, it's available here, and you have access to it at very, very competitive prices in the marketplace. But you don't have to leave. You don't have to leave the campus. You can get the help that you need right here, right now. as opposed to having to go through that horrible process of, oh God, I've got to interview these people. I've got to see it. They're going to charge me $1,000,000. I don't know who the heck they are. Can I trust them? Yada, yada, yada. And I had written this down. I had written two things down here that I hadn't maybe talked about in my hour-long monologue. One of them was safety. I think Pat and I feel very safe here, and I think that's very important as you get older. You know, as a young guy, I take on the world and played football and all that kind of good stuff. Well, look, I'm about to hit 8-0 kids, and I'm not ready to duke it out with some punk someplace. So that's important. And Jen, just try to do this in one sentence or two. Everybody, when you please come here, please downsize very carefully. We didn't. I have a wonderful set of garages that I can't use very well because of all the crud I got still sitting in there. Sorry to be that way, but
Planning is very
downsizing.
key. Planning is very important, and it's coming from out of state, it might be a little bit more challenging than those who moved from within, but you definitely want to plan and start now. Don't delay with downsizing. And people say be brutal. Just be brutal. Less is more. You'll be happy if you came with less. Julie, one question. Thank you, Sam. One question for you, Julie. What outdoor or cultural activities are offered? I love to walk and go to the theater.
Well, I'll speak to the walking first. I love to walk too. And we have sidewalks all around the community. And so I think that's really great. And the other thing that I didn't mention earlier is the Manchester Police Department has senior walks. And they're given generally in the spring and in the fall. They publish a list of where they go. Most every week it's a different place, and the police officers walk with us. There's I think the last one I went on, there were 85 seniors, and the police come with you. Very often the mounted police come with us on their horses, and it's great fun because I get to go walk places that I don't know. But even before that, right across, if you walk down across the parking lot, across the street, you are in the Nature Conservancy property called the Cedar Swamp Preserve. And a section of that is actually all persons trail, which means that people who have mobility issues can go on there safely. There's a nice gravel path. There's a boardwalk in some places where it goes over. And we have even further than that. I've explored some of the rail trails around the area that are only maybe 10-15 minutes away, and I love rail trails. They are really wonderful. And again, I just, like Sam was speaking to the safety of it, I'm a little hesitant to go somewhere on my own, but with the police walks and being on the community public rail trails, I feel like that's very safe. As far as cultural, I think Sam covered that. There is so much cultural stuff around here that you can participate in. It's going to be kind of hard to pick and choose. We're only 20 minutes away from Concord, and I've been to some wonderful things right in Concord. One of the last things I went to was I think it was the United States Army Band gave a free concert in Concord, and it was amazing. There's a movie theater in the next town over. We have movies that are shown right on our own Birch Hill. And then we also have a cable TV channel on TV that you can watch kind of some of the older movies, but lots and lots of cultural activities. I could go on forever. So,
but Capital City for the Arts in Concord has a lot of great shows too.
Yes.
Yeah, and not to mention the universities that are around here, St. Anselm's College, Southern New Hampshire University. I know people both that are moving in and that already live here. They're on the World Affairs Council.
Yes.
And some take classes at SNU. There's people outside volunteering for hospice and all sorts of different organizations and things. So there's a lot going on in this area. It's really, really pretty remarkable. Well, thank you. I have, Peter, thank you for these questions. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but a few questions from some of our wonderful waitlisters. Were the renovations to your apartment completed in time for your move-in date? Were you satisfied with the quality? Do heating and cooling systems work? Manchester RiverWoods is relatively old, but after everything we've done in the last 8 years, it's more like it's an 8-year-old campus with all the renovations and upgrades. But have you had a lot of issues with leaks and things like that? So if anybody, maybe all of you want to pitch in. Sam, you're in a new cottage, but Kate and Scott, maybe you can talk to that a little bit.
We did have a little bit done in the way of renovation, and yes, they were done in the time frame that was stated to us. Going along with that, I mean, up to and including when we moved from Concord, we brought with us a custom mantle that we had made for our fireplace there. We no longer have a fireplace, but the mantle's in place. They installed that for us.
Yeah.
We've we've had a few little glitches with things along, which as a homeowner, you know, you always run into. But unlike being a homeowner, these issues were addressed immediately, so that those things were taken care of. We didn't have to wait to make an appointment for someone to come in and wait to have things done and wait for a part. It was all handled very, 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 very quickly. And as Jen said, you know, we are in an older building, but those issues are addressed as they arise. And I think we both feel that it's been handled very well for us.
If you need the batteries replaced in your smoke detector, you don't have to climb a ladder and do it yourself. You can call the folks in environmental services, and they'll come and replace the battery for you.
Even at midnight.
Even at midnight, yes.
Dishwasher breaks, you call the front desk.
Yep.
But there's also a resident app where I think you can put in work orders too, or will be able to.
Yes.
How about the internet and TV services, Julie? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say I'm very happy with that. We also have some IT people who are on staff right here. And when I first moved in, Caleb, our main IT guy, he came up and was able to get me set up with the Wi-Fi very quickly, very simply. I didn't have cable in Maine where I came from. So for me to come here and have, you know, a cable service is pretty cool. I like that. And I'm very happy here. And as far as the service, in case there's a problem with your facility, something wrong in your apartment, we have a licensed electrician on staff who is here every day, 5 days a week. We also have a person who specializes in HVAC, the heating and the cooling, ventilation. We have that person who is, you know, kind of an expert in their field. And our maintenance staff, most of them have been here for years, the core group of people. And they're very familiar with the building. And, you know, in a lot of cases, like you said, that it is an old building, it is, but they take very good care of it, and they're right on the maintenance. And I've never had any issues.
That's great. And RiverWoods has paid to make the necessary renovations. I've been here since 2016 also, so I've been here since it was Birch Hill Terrace all the way through to what it is today. And the changes are drastic. No more pink bathtubs. But it's really been quite a transition, and I think really well done. And RiverWoods, you know, is financially so secure that they can afford to make the changes that are necessary, which is always and keep the community updated, which keeps you competitive, you know, and you have to do that. So I think that's terrific. Sam, there's a specific question for you. How is New Hampshire different from Fogelsville, Pennsylvania? Because we're from Upper Bucks. They're from Upper Bucks County, and he'd like to know, or she would like to know.
That's a great question. I think even though it's about an hour north of Philadelphia and an hour and a half west of New York City, there's still a feeling of, I don't know, megalopolis, that corridor thing that's going on. We lived in a very nice neighborhood But we knew the neighbors to talk to across the fence, but it wasn't warm. It wasn't, it was friendly, but it wasn't warm friendly, if I can put it to you that way. Coming here, there is a warmth, there is a commonality, you feel comfortable with the residents, with your neighbors, and that's part of coming here that I've really enjoyed. Obviously, some of the other things, we had to drive, I think 6 and 7 hours to see the kids. One of them's on the Cape, the other one's in Portsmouth. So that was a very nice factor in coming here. But we would have come to a CCRC no matter what. It's just that what the CCRC offers, I don't have to shovel the walk. I don't have to do the garden. I don't have to do all the maintenance and all of the things that I had to do before. Kate was right. The maintenance folks here are ever ready and ever helpful. I had a smoke detector go off. Ted was here yesterday. He replaced the smoke alarm because he couldn't get the red light to turn off. He put a new battery in, that didn't work, and he replaced it. He had one. He went back to the maintenance office, got a new smoke detector, and it's done. There's no mowing of the grass here. There's no shoveling of the walks. Everything is pretty well covered. And Jen, one of the things that this is me. I really like the fact that the cable is all included as in part of the fee. Now, if you want to do, if you want to get some of the streaming channels in and all that sort of stuff, we have those too, and you can do that on your own.
Right.
But very, very nice cable package that's provided.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any organic farms in the area? Can anyone speak to that?
I can tell you we have a lot of really
Great.
nice farm stands in the area, but I would direct Barbara. Hi, Barbara. I would direct Barbara to the State of New Hampshire Department of Agriculture website, and she could probably find a big long list. But I can tell you that the farm stands real close by, they have some, within 5 minutes, we probably have 2 that I can think of, so you can hop down there and get some stuff if you need to. But as far as organic, the State Department of Agriculture would be able to tell you that, because sometimes that list comes and goes as to who's certified organic and who's not. CSAs probably find that same information. CSA is community supported agriculture. So
There's
unless
even a
anybody else
community
knows.
supported fishery.
Oh.
There is.
All of these folks on our resident panelists today have participated in marketing events too. They have fun. Well, I don't know how much fun it is to show your homes, but you're very willing to do it and super generous with your time for that as well. And maybe sometimes have lunch with tours or things like that. So you've all been so gracious and kind, and to be here as well and take an hour out of your time, we know is not easy. Hello to Maui there. That's Maui, Sam and Pat's dog. But thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for everyone who attended today. I think we're running out of time, but we appreciate it. And certainly you can send me more questions. I can spread them out to the gang and come and see us if you haven't already, or come back if you need to. Just let us know. Thank you all, residents. Appreciate
Come join us.
That's right. Come join us. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right.